Welcome to the Full Tactical Range by Range Systems. I'm Bo Dobozinski, lead instructor for defensive mindset training, and this is your drill of the week. The idea with any defensive training that you develop, the goal is that it becomes part of something called the procedural memory. What a procedural memory system is that it is unconsciously recalled under stimulus. That when you have this violent threat stimulus occur to you, that what comes out is something that's a positive defensive response for your safety. The reason being that we have to do that is when we go under that physiological response to stress, we're part of some critical situation, someone's attacked us, whatever it is. The portion of our brain that can think through things is no longer functioning. That's just part of that physiological response. That being the case, it has to come out unconsciously. And the only way to know if we've gotten that unconscious, start to engage in testing ways that put us under a little bit of stress and hit us with a little bit at random. So we didn't know that something was about to go down. Now, live fire ranges in some regards are extremely sterile environments. There is very specific rules. There are ways that you have to come on and come off. When you walk in that space, you are very accustomed to the fact that there's going to be firearms going off and things like that. And the further along that you've been doing and practice this, the more comfortable you are in that space. And thus the less stress you feel when you're engaging in anything on the range. Now, one of the ways that you could do it to help you engage with this is actually to go do competitive shooting. I think that that's a tool. I think that's only a partial tool though, because the target downrange, you're still on a range, and the target downrange, it's still not trying to kill you. You can get a lot closer by engaging in force-on-force scenario type work, which is absolutely critical for defenders to go out and do. If you can't go out and go to places that are running sim, you can still run it with blue gun. You can run it with CERT if you don't have a CERT. Remember that you can go and go to next level training, and if you use the promo code seen here on the screen, you can actually get a discount on your CERT. So if you don't have one, again, please go and get a CERT. It's totally worth your investment. And there are ways to start to be able to deal with other people, which is more akin to what real life is going to be like. But the range becomes very sterile. So the only way now to sort of surprise you is to give you a little stress, whether through physical work, through time hacks, or through things that would happen that are unknown to you. One of the ways that we can do this engagement of things that are unknown to you is through mixing up magazines that are not loaded the same way to run a drill. You don't know at what point you're going to have a problem or if you're going to have the problem. And if your unconscious procedural memory isn't there, your times are just going to go falling through the floor. They'll be crappy, and you won't get the results that you need. So that's where today's drill is going to be working. So with today's drill, what we're going to do is we're going to have two targets downrange. We're going to use our human-shaped silhouettes with 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper center masses and the half of the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper center of face. And you can be anywhere from 15 to 25 feet, depending upon what it is that you'd like to work. The further back, the better your shooting fundamental skills have to be. The closer in, the more effective and fast your draw has to be because the targets are such tighter ranges to you. You can see how you can start to play with these. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have 3 magazines. And 2 of the magazines, we're going to load them with 6 rounds plus 1 dummy round. And the dummy round shouldn't go at the very end. So it can go anywhere in the magazine except at the very end, meaning that you shouldn't be able to do all 6 shots and then the dummy round is at the bottom. The other magazine, the third one, is just going to have 6 perfect live rounds. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those 3 magazines, we're going to juggle them up, and we'll load one of them at random into our handgun and set ourselves up. Now, with your shot timer set up, you're at your distance from your target, and the 2 targets we're going to work with today are going to be line of sight just to make our target transitions easier. From there, buzzer's going to go off. You're going to engage each target with a total of 3 shots. So 3 shots to one transition, 3 shots to the other. Here's the kick. If one of your magazines has the dummy round, that's going to hit, and you should, of course, remediate it immediately. If it doesn't, you should move between all 6 shots very smooth, very quickly. What you're going to discover is you may have a hiccup on either the magazine that's just fine or the magazine with the dummy round. And we don't know what that is until we start to do it. And the goal of this drill is to start to identify where I might be having some unconscious issue that I'm not thinking about. Do I stop and stare at the handgun after it goes click instead of bang? Is there a great big giant flinch in which I have to go back and work on my shooting fundamentals? Is it that When I go to do my smooth shooting, it's all funky because I'm anticipating that at some point there's going to be something that goes wrong. All of these different, if you will, pathway rough spots are things that we want to work out by going back to those foundational skills and refining and enhancing them. And that refining and enhancing us, we can do that forever. That's the beauty of martial training like this. We can keep growing our skill for the rest of our adult lives. It's awesome. So let's go ahead and run the first drill, and then we're going to add a little twist to it to make it harder. To make this second drill a bit harder, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make a mark on either target. One target is going to have a mark, let's make it easy, a number 1, and the other target is being marked with number 2. What we're going to do is we're going to set up our shot timer such that it has a large enough lag time between the button getting pushed and the first buzzer going off that we're going to start to count. And you're going to start to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and when the buzzer goes off, whatever number you're on, if it's an odd number, you have to start with target number 1. If it's an even number, you have to start with number 2. Now what it is you have to not only decide which number you're on, was it odd, was it even, and then you have to engage the target that's correctly appropriate. If you'd like to step this up even one harder, you can make it the opposite. So if you land on an odd number, you have to shoot the even target. If you land on an even number, you shoot the odd target. Which again, it's more ways of engaging in this idea of decision making. So as you can see, there's many ways that we can start to layer this decision making into these basic foundational skills. But if the foundational skills aren't there, well, the decision making is just going to make everything all the worse. So here's how this second version of the drill goes. Button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Developing your foundational skills is probably the singular most critical thing that you can do in utilizing any defensive tool. In building those defensive foundations, you start to build the core of every skill that you're going to build further on. This is why we always say that any advanced tactic is based upon the mastery of the fundamentals. If your shooting fundamentals are bad, your draw will be bad, your target transitions will be bad, and your ability to remediate the malfunctions will be bad. We want those things to be good, so each piece gets built and each piece gets layered on. The big thing that I'd like you to take away from today is don't rush your training. Go slow, take your time, build solid foundational skills, and we'll see you in the next drill of the week.